As you can see, I've just unboxed the new Google Pixel 6. This is a phone I've had some mixed feelings about, if I'm going to be very honest with you. I had a Pixel 2 XL since about 2017 and I've loved this phone. I've literally ridden it till the wheels fell off. The reasons why I've actually replaced this phone are due to the battery life. Of course, after a few years, the battery will just be a bit rubbish, to be honest. Also, in terms of connectivity, in terms of Bluetooth connectivity between my phone and my car, Bluetooth just didn't seem to work that well. So when I wanted to actually enter my car keylessly, sometimes I just have to wait a second. It became a bit annoying. And lastly, the moment they released this Pixel 6 here, for some reason the camera stopped working on the Pixel 2 XL. Something about planned obsolescence maybe, or perhaps it's just an old phone. So I thought, let me get into it and let me give you my first impressions. Perhaps I should start with the cons. Coming from the Pixel 2 XL to the Pixel 6, I noted that the wallpaper looked a bit blurry as well as the text. And the reason for it is that the Pixel 6 has a 1080p screen compared to the Pixel 2 XL, which has a 1440p or Quad HD screen. It may not seem like it makes much of a difference, but actually when you've been on a Quad HD screen for quite a while, then you move to Full HD screen for some time, it's like chalk and cheese really, and I cannot get over just how different the screens look. However, 1080p resolution isn't bad, it's still crisp somewhat, and I would take a resolution downgrade if it meant better battery life. The second issue I had with the phone is that the screen is kind of warm. So even when you set the screen background to white, you realize that the screen has this reddish hue. Also, whenever you look at the phone off axis, the colors seem to shift somewhat, and that's not really an issue I had with the Pixel 2. I do miss the fingerprint sensor that was on the back of the Pixel 2 XL. It was really handy, you always knew where it was placed, and it was highly accurate. I also used it to pull down the notification shade. It was just a bit of a shortcut, and now that you have the in-screen fingerprint sensor, and it's not an ultrasonic sensor, so the screen emits a bright light to actually read your fingerprint, and it works maybe 90–95% of the time. I recommend installing your fingerprint multiple times just so that it gets good coverage of your fingerprint, but there's still the odd error, and it's nowhere near as quick as the old fingerprint sensors on the Pixel 2, for example. And the last thing I mentioned, and it's kind of a minor complaint, but the Pixel 6 definitely needs a case for two reasons. Number one, it is a fingerprint magnet, and no matter how much you clean the phone, your greasy mitts will still leave prints all over it. The second reason why it does need a case is, of course, it's got this really nice glass back finish, and it is slippery. I've dropped it twice in the 3 or 4 days I've had this phone, and I tell you that I am so concerned about breaking it. I've already ordered a case. It will just take a while to come. So yeah, that's a con for me. So moving on to the pros, transferring my information over from the Pixel 2 to the Pixel 6 was flawless. I literally just plugged it up with a USB-C cable. It took all of half an hour and it was a seamless experience. It was great. Android 12 as well is an amazing OS. I think it's probably the best OS I've used thus far. I have used iOS recently, and whilst iOS is great, it's quite limited and forces you to use the phone in a very sort of Apple iOS type of way. Whereas with Android 12, I think your options are quite limitless, and I do like that. Also, I think a major thing for me is that I make use of widgets for my messages and for my calendar. So to be able to see my widgets at a glance and see information within the widgets without actually having to open the app is a godsend for me. I still think iOS is a little bit short of that right now, so maybe when iOS actually opens up its widget functionality, I'll consider it then. Also, Android 12 has the Material U feature. So Material U is an element of the UI that adapts your phone to complement your wallpaper. It's not a massive touch, it's not game-breaking, but it's a nice little feature, and it just keeps the phone fresh. Lastly, one of the things that made the Pixel 6 so appealing is that Google are offering 3 years of OS support, as well as 5 years of security updates through the phone, so you can be rest assured that your phone will be kept up with the latest security patches. Coming over to the battery life, I was surprised. If you use this phone lightly, I think you can easily get 2 days of battery life out of it. With moderate use, it's more of a 1 to 1.5 days, but I think that's really, really good. I'll be interested to know how this phone performs after 6 months to a year, though. I think that's where the real tests happen. A lot of reviewers talk about battery life in the first day or week or so, and whilst it's all well and good, I think it's important to speak about how the phone performs after a while. As I mentioned before, one of the reasons why I had upgraded was the fact that my old Pixel 2 XL would just have issues with Bluetooth connectivity. The Pixel 6 has solved all of that. I'm really happy about this, as it means I can get into my car seamlessly and flawlessly connect to wearables like my earbuds and smartwatch. When I do my in-depth review of this phone, I'll do a deep dive of this, but the photo quality from this phone is absolutely stunning, and I guess that's what Pixels are known for, right? When you pick up a Pixel, people know it's a great phone. And in fact, even up until recently, I've been going to functions and things like weddings with this Pixel 2 XL, and people often say, oh, let's use your phone instead of using other phones like iPhones. And I guess that's testament to what Google are doing in their photography department. And that moves me on to the video side of things. Google haven't been that great on the videography side of things. So whilst for still images, I'd say the Pixel is up near the top of its class. I think for videos, it's always lagged behind, and it's really been a sore point. If you're looking for the best overall camera on the phone, I wouldn't recommend a Pixel. I would really recommend you look for the iPhone 13 Pro, for example. I think they have the best variety of cameras, and also I think whilst the photography may not be as great as the Pixels, the videography of the iPhone cameras are second to none. Unfortunately, I've already noticed with the Pixels video, it performs well in good light. However, when there's any shakiness in the video, so if you're taking steps or running or turning, the image stabilization still looks wobbly. The screen sort of warps and bends, and it's quite jarring, and you don't see too much of that on iPhone. And lastly, in terms of performance, we have to come back to the Tensor chip. So Apple do a good job of integrating their hardware and software, and they really get the most of that. And Google have followed suit by actually integrating their own Tensor chip into this Google Pixel 6. And I have to say, in terms of performance, I haven't been stressing it too much, but it's performed really, really well. It's been keeping apps in memory, it's performed solidly, it's been fluid, and I have to say it's been a phone that I've enjoyed using. Going from the Pixel 2 XL to the Pixel 6, it didn't really feel like that much of an upgrade. However, after using it for some time, I realized the upgrades aren't too much in the hardware, but it's more in the integration of the software and the hardware itself. And I really, really, really think I am going to hold on to this phone. The only issues for me right now are the warm screen. I can't quite tell whether that's just me and the fact that I've been used to potentially a cooler screen on the Pixel 2 XL, but it's something I'll investigate. Having said all of that, we have to remember that the Pixel 6 is a £600 device, and at this price point, there's little on the market that can beat it in terms of features, integration, and continued software support. So yeah, I'll do a full review soon. Please let me know in the comments whether you have a Pixel 6 yourself, you agree, you disagree, do you have a Pixel 6 Pro, what made you go for the Pixel 6 Pro over the Pixel 6, and whether you're considering any other phone. Also, let me know what you'd like to see in the review, because I'm really interested to know. I'll be on hand to answer any of your questions. And lastly, please like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps other people find our videos. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, YouTube.